A sermon for the 6th Sunday after Trinity. Persuading someone to eat the right kind of food can be very difficult and frustrating experience. Ask any parent or grandparent trying to give their children a good breakfast in the morning or a healthy lunch. They pick at it, or at best only accept a few mouthfuls before their lips become firmly shut, refuse to eat anymore. Sometimes you wonder if they're just living on fresh air with the small amount of food they eat. But hand over a bar of chocolate or a bag of sweets and it's completely different. There's no stopping them. And it's not just true for children, but all of us. Sometimes we just don't know what's good for us. As the prophet Isaiah knew only too well, we're hopelessly addicted to instant satisfaction, rather than what we really need to meet our innermost needs. In our Old Testament lesson, we hear God's call to come and receive the food and drink that really does satisfy. By feeding on him through coming to faith, we can begin something that not even death can destroy. By drinking the water that God provides, he will not only quench the thirst of the present, but become a constant source of refreshment throughout the whole of our lives. God will nourish us with his word, feed us with his spirit, fill us with his love. He calls us all to his experience and presence, saints and sinners, to empty themselves so that God can fill us and open our eyes afresh to his greatness and sovereignty. We have a God who is beyond expression, who delights to hear our prayers, wants to be our intimate friend, involved in every aspect of our lives, and is waiting for us to approach him with our hopes and our fears. We might fill our stomachs to overflowing, but if we don't fill our souls, we will all slowly starve to death. How do we get people to eat what God has to offer them? Well, in our gospel reading, we have Matthew's account of the feeding of the 5,000. This is the only one of Jesus' miracles that is recorded in all four gospels. In Matthew's version, Jesus has just heard of the death of John the Baptist, retired to a quiet place to be alone, only to be followed by a large crowd. He had just lost John, but there around him were all these people waiting to hear what he had to say. They must be fed, but because of the remoteness of the place, the people will have to be given physical food as well. And knowing that John's death at the hands of Herod was a foreshadowing of his own, Jesus also steps up his training of his disciples. One of them suggests to send them away so that they can go and buy food for themselves, which of course was not an option as far as Jesus was concerned. He won't send anyone away that comes looking for him. You give them something to eat, he says. But we've only got 5 loaves and 2 fishes, came back the reply. With that suggestion, Jesus calls the crowd to sit down, and he takes the offering, which is hardly enough for 2 people, prays over it, gives thanks to God, breaks it, gives it back to the disciples to give to the crowd. And all ate and were filled, with 12 baskets full remaining. The disciples have been called to exercise faith in him, faith in what they had learned. And that faith requires that we take risks based on the character and power of Jesus. The offer of 5 loaves and 2 fishes was a risk, an idea from one of his disciples to use this food in some way. And Jesus did just that. He used it to transform the whole situation, enabling his hearers to be fed physically and spiritually. As the disciples learned, when Jesus is involved, all that we have is all that we need. So if we want to convince others about the joys of knowing Jesus and how he can change lives, we too must exercise our faith in Jesus. We too must take risks, put forward our ideas, our suggestions to him in prayer, however imperfect we think they are. It may be some gift we have, a skill, our time, our energy, our love, artistic flair, whatever we have to offer. Jesus will then hold it before the Father with prayer and blessing. He will break it so that it is ready for use, give it back to us to give to those who need it. There are many examples of this working in our church today. Jesus will accept whatever we offer, use it for the glory of his kingdom. Like the 5 loaves and 2 fish, our offering will be transformed by him to be over 1,000 times more effective. Getting close to Jesus, trusting in his presence and power, is key to everything we do as Christians. We need a love and commitment to Jesus and to others that reflects Jesus' own love and commitment to us. Jesus gave up everything for us. He sacrificed himself for our salvation, cut himself off for our sake. As Paul reminds us, we are his people and we must care and have the heart to love the lost and spread the truth. As his disciples, we know what Jesus is capable of. He will take our little, turn it into more than enough. So are we ready to trust him? Let him use what we have to help us and others find the food that brings eternal life? You will give them something to eat, says Jesus. So we know what we have to do, and Jesus has shown us how to do it. Amen.